Hello, lovely listener, and welcome to part 2 of this year's Halloween Story Swap special. We really hope you enjoy it. We just wanted to drop you a quick note here and let you know that this episode is very special because it was actually filmed in front of a live studio audience at Obsessed Fest in Columbus, Ohio this year, to which Hannah and I had the absolute honour and pleasure of attending. Thanks very much to our friends Patrick and Gillian over at True Crime Obsessed. So we had the best time, so we wanted to share this with everybody while we were on tour. So you can either listen to the audio that you're about to hear here, but if you'd like to listen to it along with the slides that we used, then you just have to head on over to YouTube and the Red Handed channel, for which we'll leave a link in the episode description, to watch the whole thing complete with visuals. So enjoy, happy Halloween, kind of, and we'll see you next week when we're going to be back with a two-parter on the massive case that is, of course, the Delphi murders. So we'll see you then. Hello everyone, so many things in my hands. Let me put these down. And I also massively misjudged how big a walk up that was when Patrick said our names.
I also feel like I'm really far away from you.
Oh no, let's move closer. But don't get too far away from that giant angry red clock that will tell us how little time we have. Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming to our show.
Hey, this is our first ever show in America.
It is.
Yeah, but no one tell Border Patrol.
No.
You are all very close friends and family, and we are here on a social visit only.
We are. And it also won't be our last, but we are very glad that we could lose our US show virginity.
Where's your
here
clipboard?
In Columbus. My what?
Your clipboard.
It's there.
Oh.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
So, Columbus, Ohio. We got here, and we heard from some podcast friends of ours who I think are here, Crawl Space. They told us that this is the state with the biggest wicker basket. Is that true?
Is that true?
Because everyone we've been saying that to just gives me a really blank look when I say it, and then I feel really stupid and uncultured.
And also, I mean, actually, let's figure this out. Who listens to the show every week?
Woo!
Okay, you're being recorded, so please make louder noises. Thank you.
That's more like it.
Silent laughers, you can fuck off. You are absolutely no use to us at all. The state motto of Ohio is "Find it here."
Is that correct?
Find what?
Yes.
What am I supposed to be looking for? Is it the basket?
Maybe. We also spent quite a lot of time yesterday backstage while we're, killing time between bits we're doing. Which word is italicized? Or are they all? Which is it? Is it find it here? Find it here? Find it here? I don't know. Someone tell us.
Either way, I'm confused. Our clock isn't running.
Oh no, somebody start the clock.
Can we get the clock?
Yes, somebody? Can we? Oh, maybe. We'll just
No, we don't deserve the clock.
We're already over, we're already starting late. No, we don't need it. You're right. No, it's still not.
Oh, look.
What?
At the screen over there.
Oh, yeah. Oh no, that's horrible. But so guys... So guys, what we're going to do today is, I know we'd have loved to do the tour show that we're going to be doing in the UK and Europe, but unfortunately that is 2.5 hours long, so we don't have time. But don't worry, we will be back to the US with proper official paperwork and be doing a proper tour sometime next year. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a live recording of our Halloween Story Swap special for October. So we'll be releasing this later next month. No, this month. It's the 1st of October today. Anyway.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I honestly don't even know my own name.
So let's start. Oh, the clock started and it's jumped.
Oh my God.
12 minutes.
Stressful.
Okay, right. We're going to go. I also don't know if this is going to randomly start playing the music or not. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Cool. Right. I have made this quite hard for myself because I picked this and this case was done before I realized it was going to be a live one. And doing these kind of more horrible cases is a lot easier when I'm not looking at you directly in the face. So I've done my best to make what is essentially a bit of a genocide as funny as I possibly can. But it's going to start dark. Once a woman from the island of death was brought to our house. The woman was taken into the back room of our house to spend the night. And that's when I saw that her calves had been cut off. I asked what had happened, and she said, "They did this to me on the island of death. They cut them off, and they cooked them. All the meat from her calves had been cut away. Her legs were freezing because of this, and she'd wrapped rags around them. She was able to move on her own, but she looked like an old woman, though she was probably only a little over 40. What I just read to you is the 1989 testimony of, and I haven't practiced enough of these names, Theophila Bailina.
Smashed it.
Thank you. Who was a woman from the village of Nazino, speaking about what she witnessed at the age of 13. Because today, this is a story of Stalin's Cannibal Island.
You love Stalin's Cannibal Island. It's your fave.
Oh no, that is the music. Never mind. There we
There
go.
you go.
Dun dun dun.
I don't even need to look behind me. It's
Oh
there.
yeah, there it is. Oh,
this is so much better.
So good. This is so good. So the year was 1928 when Stalin introduced what he called collectivization.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. It's going to get so bad. Because this was the first of a 5-year plan for the USSR, which was a list of economic goals based on Stalin's policy of socialism in one country. This is a very accurate and, I hear, on-trend description visually of what Stalin did. Because he believed that by taking away privately owned farms from wealthy peasants known as kulaks, there they are, and integrating them into collective state-run farms, that he would be able to immediately increase food production for urban areas. You might be able to tell by my tone that that's not really what happened. So as you can imagine, these hard-working, I think I have a pointer. Ooh, look at that. These hard-working and motivated kulaks weren't exactly thrilled about the idea of handing over everything that they owned to the state and living on some sort of shared state-run farm. They weren't keen for it. But those who fought back were either shot dead immediately or thrown into gulags, where they soon wished they were dead. Now, all of this was known as dekulakization. And while kulaks were described as wealthy, that's how they're always described in the propaganda pictures, and that this whole redistribution, collectivization was described as redistribution of wealth. The problem was owning so much as a horse was enough to get you called a capitalist fat cat and thrown into a gulag.
What's the story with the crab man?
Do you know what? I am not sure because I picked these when I Googled kulak propaganda pictures, but I can't read Russian. So I don't know what they say.
I feel like I'm doing history GCSE and this is my source paper.
Or you're doing history GCSE in a school that's in special measures and your teacher's like, I don't know. But here you go. This is what's happening. So yes, propaganda pictures, wealthy. That's how they sold it to the rest of the people in Russia, that these people deserve to have all of their things taken away from them. Surprise, surprise, though, in 1932, the results of killing and arresting the most productive group in your society didn't really work out very well because it led to a lot of bad things happening. And one of those bad things happening was that severe famine was on its way. And this is a pattern that we will see throughout this episode of unintended consequences for the actions that the Soviet Union took at this point. So a man named Genrikh Yagoda, who was the head of the OGPU
Double-sided.
secret police. It is double-sided. This is a nightmare. Oh no. Right, there we go. The solution was to settle 1 million of these kulaks in Siberia and Kazakhstan in special settlements. So these unfortunate deportees would be tasked with turning 2.5 million acres of virgin land into productive farmland. Yes. Where are they going to find these people to do this? And what could possibly go wrong?
Stalin?
And they were like, you've got to turn these 2.5 million acres of just barren land into farmland in 2 years. What could possibly go wrong? While I'm reading this ad, I want you to do a simple breathing exercise. Breathe in through your nose, hold it for about 5 seconds, then exhale through your mouth. Keep this up while I tell you about today's sponsor, Calm. We're partnering with Calm, the #1 mental wellness app, to give you the tools that improve the way you feel. Reduce stress and anxiety through guided meditations, improve focus with curated music tracks, and rest and recharge with Calm's imaginative sleep stories for children and adults. There's even new daily movement sessions designed to relax your body and uplift your mind. If you go to calm.com/redhanded, you'll get a special offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription, and new content is added every single week. Over 100 million people around the world already use Calm to take care of their minds. Calm is ready to help you stress less, sleep more, and live a happier, healthier life. And I was skeptical at first, I have to admit, but now I personally love how there's a new 10-minute meditation every single day on a different subject, like setting your intentions, compassion, and fighting anxiety. The first half has you breathe and relax, while the second half is a guided meditation on the topic. It's so good. Getting into meditation, starting from scratch, can be really intimidating and difficult to do. So guided meditations, I found, are definitely the way forward. And for listeners of the show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/redhanded. So just go to calm.com/redhanded for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/redhanded. But now
that good old Soviet era tractor.
Look, I spent so long Googling farming fails to try and find something. You've got to work with me, guys. There's not many images from this era in time that just don't look like a grainy mess. And also, they weren't really up with the memes back then. So we're doing our best.
I think you've done a great job. I'm very proud of you.
So the problem was, they've got the land, they've got the plan. They're like, we're gonna farmland this to shit, and then we're all gonna be fine, and no one's ever gonna be hungry again. The problem was, some people know the end of the story. The problem was that they needed people to send to this 2.5 million acres of land to be the farmers. The problem was, how do you find these people? Well, I'm going to do another remedial history lesson for all of us, because the Bolsheviks had actually abolished what was known as like the Tsarist internal passport system. They were like, no, get rid of it. Every Russian everywhere in the whole of the Soviet Union should be able to live and work wherever they want. So they got rid of it in 1917 during the revolution. And that just led to a bunch of starving peasants from all over the various corners of the USSR flooding into the major cities and creating a housing crisis for the proletariat. More unintended consequences. And so Stalin, thinking quick, was like, let's reintroduce the passport system. And let's only give it to the people that we like. Let's not give it to the kulaks. Let's not give it to the criminals. Let's not give it to anybody else that we deem socially undesirable. And so basically that meant that if you were living in a major city at this point, in like 1932 Soviet era, and you didn't get one of these internal passports given to you, life was about to become very hard, because you were now essentially an illegal resident in your own country. So then what they would do, you leave your house without your passport, they are going to arrest you. And when they arrest you, what are they going to do?
Give you a big hug.
They are going to use you as farm fodder.
Okay.
It's very smart. It's very smart. I thought that would move. Never mind. So Yagoda gave every police officer a very strict quota of how many people they had to arrest using this internal passport system. And here they are, looking very scary with their dogs, and they're going to come get you. And so the police were incredibly motivated to arrest as many people as they possibly could. And they arrested an old man who stepped outside of his house to buy cigarettes without his passport. They arrested a 12-year-old girl who was standing outside of a shop waiting for her mum to buy some bread. And they arrested a 103-year-old man who just didn't have a passport. So as you can imagine, these people aren't prime.
Who the fuck is living to 103 in the USSR?
Someone who's eating other people. And these people aren't going to make prime farm hands, as you can probably imagine. So between March 1933, around March and July, they arrested around 85,000 people Exactly, from Moscow, and 5,000 from Leningrad. And they deported them in the space of just 2 days. And this is a map, there you go. And most of them were never heard from again. So these people were stuffed onto trains, and together with the police, they were sent to Siberia on a journey that took 10 days. On the 10th of April, 1933, the deportees arrived in the small city of Tomsk. I think that's how you say it. There it is. And the thing was that Stalin and Yagoda had carried out this plan so quickly. They had arrested so many people and shipped them to Tomsk so quickly that they had failed to let the Siberian officials know to expect them.
Or finish the roads.
So as a result, there was no food, there was no water, there wasn't enough adequate shelter for the 90,000 deportees that arrived in Tomsk by May. I'm so glad you recognised him, because I was like, I need to find a picture of Billy McFarlane, but if nobody recognises him, the joke doesn't work. So thank you, everybody. So on the 14th of May, it's also really annoying that I didn't put anything else, so you're just going to have to look at him now for a while. So on the 14th of May, 4 river barges destined to haul timber were packed with 5,000 deportees and sent to Nazino Island, the place that would go on to be called Stalin's Cannibal Island. Of those 5,000 people, a third of them were dangerous criminals. So already, you're starting off on a bad note.
I think everyone is a dangerous criminal if they're hungry enough.
I mean, that is very much the tagline of the rest of this story.
I am certainly a danger to others and myself.
And the problem was criminals, but they also had no agricultural skills whatsoever. So it just gets worse and worse. And also, of those 5,000, 4,600 of them were men and 4,000 were women.
Uh-oh.
Also problems. Yeah, I really didn't know whether to go for too many men, but I didn't know if you guys would...
Do you guys know that one?
Into
We need
UK
some more girls
crime.
in here. Yeah.
Too many men. Okay, yeah.
All
Anyway,
right. Well, it's a banger, so look it up.
It was a toss-up. So during the 4-day journey, each deportee was given no more than 200 grams of bread each. Guys, I was working with a tough case here. So a number of guards were sent with the deportees overseas to the labor camp. However, they were told only 2 weeks before they went, and they were given absolutely no training, absolutely no resources on how to manage the situation. So things are getting worse and worse. Now, the barge was also stocked with 20 tons of flour. That sounds like a lot, but it's actually only 4 kilograms per person.
I don't know either of those.
It's
like a small baby?
It's like, no.
A big baby?
It's like a bag of sugar or a bag of flour. It's
Fine.
not enough. It's not enough.
A small
It's
baby.
A small baby.
It's
Okay.
2 kilos.
Oh, I mean, so a small baby's worth of flour is all you've got.
Right.
And you've got
Why is my measuring system babies?
I don't know. So that's all they've got. They've got no food. They've got no tools. They've got nothing else that you could possibly need to turn virgin land into farmland. And things are going to get worse because 27 of them died on the way there. And as horrible as it is to say, they were probably the lucky ones. Because as soon as they got off the barge, the deportees realized that Nazino Island was nothing more than a patch of uninhabitable swampland. So they haven't even done very good site checking here. It's not even virgin land, it's just a swamp. And it's about 2 miles long and about 600 miles wide with no infrastructure whatsoever. And it also happened to be in one of the coldest parts of Siberia. Again, not prime farmland.
I feel like they should have known that bit.
I feel like that's the least they should have known. Columbus, you guys are prime farmland, Ohio? Yeah, see? That's kind of
so
apt.
enthusiastic.
I know. They were more enthusiastic about the wicker basket. So that first night on the island, 273 people froze to death because, if you remember, they were wearing basically the same clothes that they were arrested in Moscow. And we think Moscow's cold, but this place is much colder. So they just froze to death. Now, the following morning, the guards attempted to distribute some of that baby measurement flour. But too many fights broke out, so they were just like, okay, you organize yourself into groups, and then you come tell us who we give the flour to. So problems galore already.
Would you put me in your group, or would you have it all for yourself?
I mean, I would probably have you in my group.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. I wouldn't do what these people did because the hardened criminals just were like, fuck everybody else. And they went and they were like, I'm the leader, give me the flour. And they took all the flour. And then they just bullied everybody else. And by bullied, I mean viciously assaulted. and ate, eventually. So lots of things were happening. People couldn't cook the flour. Obviously, they didn't have any tools or anything to start a fire with. So some of them just mixed the flour with like river water and ate it. And then there were huge outbreaks of dysentery. I know, I should have been more festive. So out of desperation, many people began chewing on the bark and the moss that they could find on the trees that were on the island. This kind of filled their stomachs, but it didn't really do anything nutritionally for them. So people were struggling. And you might be wondering, well, why didn't they just try and escape? Maybe that would have been a good plan. Well, some of them did. Some of them got together. They built big life rafts. They tried to get off this island. But they were basically stopped at every opportunity because the river is just around there is just not made for that kind of thing. And also the guards would just shoot them because they didn't have anything else, but they did have rifles. And then also, if they did manage to escape into the woods that surrounded this island, the guards would follow them in there and basically hunt them down, making this guy seem like Father fucking Christmas. Again, it was funnier when it moved. I don't know. So the guards settled on the shores of the island.
I saw him on Raya, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was his profile?
I don't think I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
no, there's rules.
So you get
kicked out.
What did it say?
This is my face.
This is my face.
Yeah.
Good.
Look at my penis.
So the guards settled on the shores of the island. They'd basically just started taunting the people that were on this island for fun. They'd throw lumps of bread into groups of crowds to see people fighting each other for that food. It gets very dark very quickly. And on the 21st of May, 2 doctors were sent by Stalin to go and monitor the number of people that were on this island, kind of like a who survived situation. And they get there and they record a further 70 deaths that occurred. And to their horror, they also noticed that 5 of the bodies showed signs of cannibalism. But when they reported this back to officials in Tomsk, they were told that these people were degenerates anyway. What else could they expect? And to make matters worse, on the 27th, Stalin decided to send another barge full of 1,200 more deportees to the island with no additional resources. And things got worse and worse. And what I'm about to... there we go. What I'm about to read you is eyewitness testimony from a survivor. And this is bad, everybody. So I hope no one's eating their lunch in here. On the island, there was a guard named Kostya Vernikov, a young fellow. He had been courting a pretty girl who had been sent there. He protected her. One day, he'd been away for a while. People caught the girl. They tied her to a poplar tree. They cut off her breasts, her muscles, everything they could eat, everything. They were hungry. They had to eat. And when Kostya came back, she was still alive. He tried to save her, but she'd lost too much blood. Yeah.
This is kind of a bummer, mate.
I know. It's okay, I'm almost done, and then I think Hannah's is better.
No, you're doing a great job.
So by this point, the stronger deportees formed gangs in order to survive and terrorize the weak. Cannibalism had obviously become commonplace, and people were murdering each other just to have something to eat, or someone to eat. Their remains were also often pillaged for clothing, and even gold dental work was dug out of their faces. But I'm like, where are you going to use that?
Well, I told you this. I went to uni with a girl whose family buy dental gold.
I mean,
so you can melt it down.
Oh, I believe it's a thing. But what are you going to do with it on Cannibal Island?
Trade it for stuff. Because there's such an abundance of stuff to trade.
Exactly.
You know?
And also such an abundant need for more gold.
Yeah.
I don't know. So the only people that sort of live anywhere near this island are a local indigenous group of people called the Ostiak people. And they only even came to this island to randomly go fishing in the summer. They didn't live here. But they lived near enough that they said that they could hear screaming and gunshots coming from this island for weeks. Until one day, in early June 1933, everything stopped and it all went silent. Stalin had decided to put a stop to this project, and the surviving 2,856 deportees were moved back to smaller settlements elsewhere in Siberia, where they were, of course, like forced to work. They weren't like, oh, we're sorry we did that to you.
Not a holiday camp.
No.
Oh, here you go to Centre Parks.
But they don't know what Centre Parks is.
Mate, there's so many British jokes in my half the show. You're going to have a bad time.
But by that point, some of the people that were left on the island were just far too ill to be moved. And those who were transported, many didn't survive. So of the original 6,000 deportees that found themselves on Stalin's Cannibal Island, 2,000 had died from starvation, exposure, or murder. And 2,000 had simply disappeared without a trace and were presumed dead. So the rumors of the horrors that had occurred on this island spread, and a local communist instructor by the name of Vasily Velichok, there he is, I think that's him, decided to investigate for himself. And he went out to the island in August. The grass by this point had grown tall, and he couldn't see much of the floor. That is, until he got closer. And he realized, to his horror, that he was standing on piles and piles of rotting corpses. Vasily went home and he compiled an 11-page report on what he had found there, including interviews with dozens of survivors and local eyewitnesses who were there. And he sent this report to Stalin, and he said that they were left noticeably disturbed by what he had said. A few of the former guards from the island were sentenced to prison for 1 to 3 years because they have to be seen to do something. So they were just like, it's your fault. It's because you didn't handle this properly. You can go to prison. But as for the report, Stalin had it stamped as classified and swept the whole thing under the rug. Again, don't know why it's not moving.
They know what it's supposed to be doing.
You know what it is. And much like he would do with a plethora of other Soviet horror stories. And it wouldn't be until 1988, through the efforts of a human rights group called Memorial, that the report and testimonies from survivors would see the light of day again. And this is a little island memorial that they have set up there now, which I think is very sweet. In one interview, a criminal who was deported to Nazino Island revealed how the cannibalism unfolded. So this was a part of Vasily's report. And when he was asked if he had ever intended to... When he was asked if he had eaten humans, he responded with the following. No, that isn't true. I only ate livers and hearts. It was very simple, just like shashlik. We made skewers with willow branches, cut it, by which he means human bodies, into pieces, stuck it on the skewer, and roasted it over a campfire. I picked those who were not quite living, but not yet quite dead. It was obvious that they were about to go, that maybe they had left in them a day or two, and then they'd give up. So it was easier for them this way. Now I could kill them quickly without suffering for another 2 or 3 days. And I guess you have to rationalize it to yourself, don't you? What else are you going to do? And I guess he doesn't want to eat the dead bodies because they're all gross and dead.
I don't know.
It's okay, it's almost over, guys. Today, every year, a small group of locals from the Siberian town of Tomsk in Russia make the 550-kilometer journey all the way to Nazino Island in the middle of the Ob River, and they place a wreath at the foot of the memorial.
That's nice.
Yeah, they do it every year in memory of the 4,000 people that died there in the horrifying summer of 1933.
Happy Halloween!
Yeah.
Sariti Bala, everyone.
Thank you. You're being very kind. Here you go.
Well done, mate. Okay. Mine's also kind of like olden timey. Also, I'm going to have so many things in my hands prepared to witness the dyslexia of movement. I'm going to drop some shit. I can feel it. And also my hands are so sweaty. Look. So
That was
it's
kind
not
of
my
sexual,
fault.
Hannah. That was a little bit sexual, I'm not going to lie.
Right. Let me have Sorry, just got to rearrange the mic slipping out of my disgusting hands.
This bit. I forgot this bit. No, I was going to say, we've talked a lot of smack on Stalin. There he is. And you guys have all seen this, right? Because he
Young
might
Stalin.
look like that in his old age, but he was quite the babe back in his day. He's kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, he's no young Benjamin Netanyahu, but
No, he is no young Benjamin Netanyahu. And if you haven't seen a picture of young
Google
Benjamin
that
Netanyahu,
immediately.
Google it
You are
immediately.
welcome.
There you go. That's that. There you go.
Okay.
Back to you. As you probably know, right now we're in the middle of a European tour. What you might not know is that with all the prep and planning, I completely neglected to update my wardrobe, or tourdrobe. Well, thank the gods for Stitch Fix. All I had to do was fill in a quick style quiz about my likes, dislikes, and my budget, and then my own personal stylist dealt with the rest. Tourdrobe solved. And you too can make the most of this amazing service. All you need to do is go to stitchfix.co.uk and take a quick style quiz, just like me. And then a bunch of amazing wardrobe options will turn up at your door. Then you try them all on, keep what you like, and send back the rest. Now here's the best part. Usually you pay a styling fee of £10 each time you order, but our friends at Stitch Fix have a special offer for you. Right now, the styling charge for your first order will be waived, giving you the opportunity to try their service completely free of charge. Schedule at any time, there's no subscription required, plus delivery and returns are easy and, most importantly, free. So get started today at stitchfix.co.uk/redhanded. And you'll receive your first fix styled and delivered to you absolutely free. But you've got to go to stitchfix.co.uk/redhanded for that. And to sweeten the deal, if you use that link, you'll also get an extra 20% off when you keep all 5 items in your fix. Once again, that's stitchfix.co.uk/redhanded for 20% off and to have your styling fee waived. You've got nothing to lose.
Let's get rid of this. Even worse. Right, so...
Yeah, we're just trolling you all. We're just like catfishing you all because those pictures were taken when we were like 25.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot worse now. We will never update it. Right, I am taking you to Le Gay Paris, which looks like that, in case you needed a reminder.
Voted the most disappointing tourist attraction in the world. More than the Wicker Basket.
Have you heard of
I don't know.
Paris syndrome?
I have heard of it. What is it?
It's a very it happens to Japanese men specifically, where they go to Paris and they're so disappointed by it that they get really depressed. Because Paris does, if you have not been, stink of piss. Fucking prove me wrong. Anyway, so I'm taking you to Nazi-occupied Paris, and just out of interest, I tried to find a funnier picture by Googling Le Gay Paris, and when you Google Le Gay Paris...
What'd you find?
This. Which for our listeners at home is from a bakery in Paris, and it's called Baguette Magique, and it's baguettes in the shape of penis and balls.
£2.20 for a baguette.
It is, I think that, I mean, I don't know if it's to scale. They might be bigger.
It's just a giant clip.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Le Gay Paris, 1944 to be specific. And on a street in Paris, smoke was billowing non-stop for weeks and weeks and weeks out of a chimney. And the neighbours had had enough because it was disgusting and it smelled really, really terrible. So they went over to the house, but there was no one in. There was just a note on the door that said, "Forward mail to 18 Rue de Lombard in Auxerre." I can't speak French, so I'll let the funky music do the talking. Another British joke that will fall on its face.
Just tell me when they're there
Girls
and I'll laugh
allowed,
really
guys.
loudly.
Fuck. Anyway, so the concerned neighbours told the French police that there was all of this stinky smoke coming out. And they'd even seen people coming in the middle of the night to drop things off and pick things up. One truck picked up 47 suitcases. in the middle of the night, in the dead of night, one might say. And another man with a horse and cart delivered 30 heavy sacks of something completely unidentifiable.
A lot of busybodies on this street. Just not minding their own business.
They're French, what do you think? I don't hate the French. I just severely dislike them.
It's okay, they don't like us either.
Yeah, exactly. We're not. So, the police tracked down the owner of this house, and his name, which I have practiced but will definitely say wrong, is Marcel Petiot. That's the house. It's not the house. It just looked a bit like that, in my opinion.
It's a nice house.
There he is.
Oh.
He's just nondescript.
Nondescript French
man from the Black and White Times. So Petiot asked the officers on the phone, though, he was like, oh, well, have you gone in the house yet? And they were like, well, no. And he was like, okay, well, just wait until I get there. Definitely don't go in. And the police are like, okay, fine. And they wait and they wait. And then they've waited for about half an hour. He doesn't show up. So they ring the fire brigade to break into the house. And they did that. They all run into the house. And then the firemen come out, white as sheets, vomiting everywhere.
Oh, no.
And they told the policeman that they had quite a large job cut out for them. And this is when I'm going to drop something. There we go. So, not knowing what to expect, the police cautiously entered the house and made their way down to the basement. And there they found a large coal-fed stove burning at full blast. And when they looked a bit closer, it became incredibly obvious what the horrible smell was. Because it wasn't just coal that was in the stove. It was human legs and arms. And also in the corner of the room...
A baguette.
A baguette in the shape of a penis.
Classic Petiot.
Classic that guy. There was also a sack of coal in the corner with more miscellaneous body bits in it. And then, as the police made their way outside the house, Marcel Petiot showed up. And because he is French, he was on a bicycle.
And also... This might. Are you guys having an energy crisis like we are in Europe? Yes. Oh, okay. So maybe this can be is this like the new thing? We just after burning bodies because we can't get any coal or oil or gas anymore? I feel like it's not as bad. Only one person said you're having an energy crisis.
I don't think you can be because I filled up a car the other day for like 50p.
Oh, okay. This state?
Oh, bad times? Bad news? Okay.
We're on a cultural learning trip.
We're on a cultural safari. So, the policemen are outside, and so now is this guy. And he will not speak to the police until they prove to him that they are French and not German. And they were like, oh, I'm French. And then he was like, okay. And he was like, oh, well, the good news is I'm actually a member of the resistance and all of the bodies downstairs are the Gestapo. And the police are like, okay, cool. And then they leave. So they realized they had made a mistake, but it was far too late. No one would see Marcel Petiot in Paris again for 7 whole months. This is the story of this guy who has
Marcel
lots of
Petiot.
names.
Oh.
Marcel André Henri Félix Petiot.
Oh.
Otherwise known as Dr. No, that's the resistance. Dr. Satan.
Oh.
So let's tell you the story of the guy that absolutely has nothing to do with this picture. I just Googled Dr. Satan. He was born on the 17th of January, 1897 in Burgundy, and his mum died when he was still young. His dad couldn't be bothered, so he had to go and live with his aunt. His aunt gets a tough deal because all of the sources are like, oh, she just, did a really terrible job raising him. But to be honest, it sounds like he was just a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
I think she probably was okay, but here's what he did. He'd bite her, pull her hair, and he'd catch birds and lock them in cages and watch them starve to death. Or he would catch them, blind them with needles, and then set them free, presumably to fly into trees and windows and stuff, yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Bad guy.
Yeah, I feel like that's not all on Auntie.
No, absolutely not. He also smothered his pet cat because he tried to drown it and failed. Normal little boy stuff. But even though he was doing all of these horrible things, he was very obviously extremely intelligent. But at school, he had no mates because he was awful. And he would bring his dad's gun into school and like fire it around. And he also would throw knives at his peers in an alleged circus act.
Oh.
This is a British joke, but I don't care. That's Barry Chuckle.
Is it?
It's not. It just looks like him.
Oh, right.
But I'm very impressed you know who Barry Chuckle is.
Yeah.
Fucking tumbleweeds the rest of the room. But anyway, in his early adolescence, he committed a few petty crimes. And one day a policeman caught him stealing from a post box. And that meant that Marcel had to go and see a judge. And the judge, not a doctor, the judge had to do a psychiatric evaluation on him. And that psychiatric evaluation led to the charges being dropped and Marcel being diagnosed as an abnormal youth with hereditary and personal mental illness.
Oh.
It's me. Anyway. And it was also suspected, unlike the magnificent beast in those pictures, that Marcel had a frontal lobe injury, which if you have read the book, you will know is bad news bears. He went on to be expelled from a string of schools, but he finally managed to finish his education. And by the time he did that, World War I, what happens in World War I?
Oh, don't make me do this.
Nobody knows.
I don't know.
No one knows.
What was World War I about?
Franz Ferdinand was shot,
it.
and then some stuff happened,
That's
and the end.
That's all we're ever taught.
But France was under German control, and some people say that Marcel voluntarily enlisted in the army. Some people say that he was conscripted. Either way, it doesn't matter. He was a terrible soldier. He had a really bad time. He spent most of his military career inside of mental asylums between the years of 1915 and 1921. And whilst on the front in 1917, he was gassed and injured by grenade shrapnel. Those wounds healed, but his mental state took a turn for the worse, and he was sent to numerous clinics and psychiatric hospitals where he was diagnosed with all sorts of stuff. Depression, disequilibrium, which...
That's an old and timey one.
It just means sort of like not right.
Yeah.
Just a bit out of whack.
Yeah.
Neurasthenia, don't know what that is. OCD and phobias, not a specific one, just general. Me too, babes. And he was sent back to the front, even though he had all of these things wrong with him. And he actually had a nervous breakdown and shot himself in the foot. But instead of being sent to prison as a deserter, he was sent right back to hospital where he had loads more fun diagnoses. And a psychiatrist recommended that he be committed to a mental asylum. That did not happen.
Oh.
He went on to enroll in an accelerated study program for ex-servicemen and became a doctor in 8 months.
That's World War I.
That's World War I. That's number one. So at the age of 26, he was now a doctor, and he started up his own practice outside of Paris, about 2 hours, which obviously looks exactly like that.
I mean, if you keep showing people pictures like this to people who haven't been to Paris yet, and then they go to Paris, they are going to all get Paris syndrome.
It's not Paris, it's a little town.
Oh, it's a little town.
Full of
Sorry.
something people. Someone hasn't seen Beauty and the Beast. Fuck.
No. Sorry. It's been a long time. I said, why are you doing a German accent?
I wasn't.
I know.
Oh.
Also bad at accents.
Oh, you were doing a German accent.
No, I thought you were doing a German accent. I'm very tired. We're still kind of jet lagged, guys.
Anyway, everyone thought he was the best doctor ever because he was charismatic, apparently. He also helped a local bistro owner called Frasco, I believe. He had rheumatoid arthritis. And Marcel helped him stand up straight for the first time in years.
Oh.
And how did he achieve this medical miracle? Sariti's favorite, heroin.
Those are grains of rice or salt.
It's crisps.
It was crisps. I
Yeah.
just like to put things in rows.
They were in size order. And we took a picture of it. Anyway, so Marcel was a great doctor because he was overscribing everyone with heroin, so this whole village was off their tits the whole time. And then he began dating a lady called Louise Della something. That's her.
Ooh, what a babe.
Probably her. Anyway, I'm running out of time. He kills her. She's dead. She's gone.
She's gone. Forget her.
And the same year that he killed her, he decided being a doctor wasn't enough, and he decided to run for mayor. But he was unwilling to put in the work to win fair and square, so he actually hired a saboteur. When his opponent was speaking, this saboteur cut the electricity to the entire village and set loads of buildings on fire.
I love it. That is such good saboteuring.
And it worked because he won by a landslide. And then
everybody else is like, that guy's like possessed or something. Every time he starts to speak, we lose all of our electricity and buildings suddenly burst into flames.
Exactly. So he had killed his old girlfriend, so he got a new one. Almost certain that is them. And probably nothing to do with the fact that she was a very, very wealthy heiress. Anyway, moving on. 1930, a house burned down, the house of a local wealthy businessman, and when the firefighters arrived, they found the lady of the house, also called Henriette, like his auntie, beaten to death in the kitchen. 20,000 francs were found to be missing, and many speculated that Marcel was having an affair with Henriette, so he was right at the top of the suspect list. And then... Frasco, our rheumatoid arthritis patient from earlier, testified that he saw Marcel Petiot near the house on the night that it burned down. But, small town, so after he dobbed him in, essentially he still had to go back to Marcel for his rheumatoid arthritis treatment. And then he died after a mysterious injection. Not that mysterious, though, is it? Pretty obvious what happened. Suspicion surrounded Marcel more and more, but it wasn't until he was imprisoned for stealing electricity, which I'm not even sure how you do that, but that's apparently what he was just nicking.
We should find out.
Nicking volts in his pockets. Exactly, just putting electricity in his bag and riding off on his little French bicycle. Anyway. He moves his family back to Le Gay, Paris in 1932, and he started his own practice. He claimed to have the cure for cancer and also be an expert in gynecological problems. Oh. And he plastered posters around the area that he had been an intern in a mental asylum, when in fact he had been an interné.
Oh.
Which is a patient.
Oh, it's like... Laugh right, guys.
Thank you.
Also, it's like the French version of, when there's like the comma. Is the comma in the right place?
Oxford comma.
The Oxford comma.
We can't get back into that. We've only got 9 minutes.
But here it's just the little hat comma.
Yeah, exactly. The little hat. Right. So. He's doing loads of fucked up shit in Paris.
He's having a great time for a man who has such severe disequilibrium.
Well, exactly. And all of his patients liked him loads, presumably because he was handing out heroin. But he was still doing some pretty bad stuff. He got himself in trouble for shoplifting, assaulting a police officer, tax avoidance, tax evasion, violating drug laws, and having a patient under his care die from a heroin overdose, which I imagine happened quite a lot. But he managed to get away with it all by pleading insanity and paying a small fine. And nobody stopped him being a doctor.
So he's like, I'm insane.
Yes.
And you can have some of my drug money.
Yeah.
But I can keep being a doctor.
Exactly that. Probably no one was paying that much attention because World War II was kicking off. And in 1940, what happened in Paris in 1940? Nazi occupation, correct. And Marcel began telling people that he was the head of a major resistance movement called the Fly Talks Network, which is the least French thing you've ever heard because it is made up. But he said that he was providing an escape for Jewish people, fugitives, resistance fighters, criminals, etc. He said, if you come to me, come to my big townhouse, I will smuggle you out, and you can go and live in Argentina with all of the other Nazis.
Oh.
Confusing. Anyway, so he bought the large townhouse, which definitely isn't this one, but looked a bit like it. And this is where his clients would come to in the middle of the night. It had been abandoned and it was falling apart. I think that is what it looked like. But he didn't mind because he wasn't going to live in it. He was going to do other stuff. He would sneak clients into his townhouse, and then they would never be seen again. He told his victims that the Argentinian government required them to be inoculated before allowing them into the country.
Uh-oh.
But he wasn't injecting them with, like, the yellow fever vaccine. It was cyanide, which, again, if you've read the book, you will know, terrible way to go. And he would shackle them up in a padded soundproof chamber of death and watch through a peephole as they slowly died.
He's like a French H.H. Holmes. Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry if I given something away.
No, it's fine. I think I did reference it, but I just forgot to read it.
Oh, right. That's fine.
Yes, exactly, like a French H.H. Holmes.
Nailed it.
Without the train bit that's confusing that no one understands. Anyway.
What's next?
Did someone just snort?
They did. I hope that is
no,
so
I
loud
appreciate
on the
it so
recording.
much. Honestly, I love that. Thank you. It took the pressure off me. Anyway. He got away with this for ages until loads of bodies started washing up on the shores of the Seine. And the French police were like, this is some fucked up shit. But the Nazis were like, well, we're much more concerned with this doctor who's smuggling Jewish people out of Paris. And if you don't know what the Gestapo looked like, you're welcome. So Marcel's feeling the heat. He grew a beard. He changed his name. And he got a job at the French Forces of the Interior, and he got all the way up to captain. And then they asked him to track down Marcel Petiot.
Brilliant.
He was like, this is outrageous even for me. I'm out this bitch. So he moves away from Paris. He stops pushing his luck. But on Halloween, after the liberation of Paris from the Nazis, he was recognized at a police station wearing a bad disguise.
Why was he at a police station?
A train station.
Oh, a train station.
Which I didn't say.
No, you didn't. Just to clarify, he's not at a police station.
The clock is stressing me out.
Don't look at it. Yeah.
So, when they arrested him, he had a gun, 30,000 francs, which might not be that much money.
No.
50 documents under 6 different names.
Oh.
Bad stuff. And at his trial, the true horror of, it's here, the H.H. Holmes.
There it is.
There it is. The police had uncovered a lime pit where he was leaving all of the bodies to decompose, just like H.H. Holmes. And they found scalps and jawbones all over the place.
Oh.
And they also found a canvas sack containing a headless left half of a body with all of the inside bits not there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
But of course, the most terrifying thing of all was the octagonal soundproof chamber, which had shackles fitted inside a wall and a peephole in the door. And in this murder factory, they found...
Fucking hell.
And he's here today.
Wait, who built that for him?
He built it.
He built it. Oh, so he's a doctor, a captain, and
a mayor.
And a mayor.
And a construction person.
And a construction worker.
And an architect. And probably a chartered surveyor. They found in this house 16 kilograms of charred bones.
How heavy is that?
How many babies?
How many babies is that?
Quite a lot. 12 kilos of unburnt human fragments, 6 kilograms of human hair, and 3 bin bags full of unidentifiable tiny bits of human.
Oh.
The oldest victim was 50 years old. The youngest was 25. Oh. He faced 135 charges, including 26 premeditated murders. He eventually admitted to killing 36 people, but the real number is probably much closer to 150.
150?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you are a serial killer during those two wars,
no one's looking.
No one's looking.
No. So his whole idea in the trial, he was like, yeah, I definitely did kill them all, but they were the Gestapo. And his lawyer said that he was a hero of the French resistance, which got a standing ovation in the courtroom. But the judge and jury weren't having literally any of it, because not a single member of the actual resistance knew who he was or had heard of the Fly Talks network. So that one didn't work. At one point during the trial, he wasn't paying attention. The judge told him off, and he said, I am listening, but it doesn't really interest me very much.
That's so funny.
And he was sentenced to death. And whilst he was on death row, he refused to see a priest saying, no, I am one traveller who is taking all his baggage with him. And obviously we're in France, that priest would have been Catholic, and this is what Catholic looks like. It's me.
You do look super jazzed to be a Catholic.
Yeah, so much. Right, and then basically he was killed by guillotine in 1946. And quite a lot of people present said there was a smile on his face as his head went into the basket.
Oh.
There you go. Does anyone know the last execution by guillotine in France? What year? 1976, close. Same year that Star Wars came out.
We told them. And also that other film with Jack Nicholson, Chinatown.
There you go, that's my story. There he is.
That's it, guys. Thank you so much.